session of CMAAO International Weekly Meeting. And most of the medical associations from Asia, Oceania, even Europe, North America, Africa, and all other regions do join, and we share on the common platform. So welcome to this. This is live on every Saturday. Today we are on 12th. Same time, same link, everything remains same. So today we would discuss on the updates and general issues on COVID. We know all that COVID is still not over. The moment we feel relaxed, we take a breather. We hear a news that there is another lockdown. So recently we have heard that China has again, COVID has surpassed, and the maximum number of cases in the last 2 years has been reported. They have issued the warning to the world. They have issued the lockdown in the industrial zone. So this is pretty serious. The markets have affected. The the scientists have come up on the board again to look into it, what is going on. So COVID is not over. Before we start the meeting, I would only say, do not take things lightly. We have seen masks going off. So please do maintain the precautions. Please do maintain the social distancing. Please do maintain, because your life is in your hand. With this note, we will continue and start our meeting today. Welcome, everyone. So before the meeting was on live, Dr. Jamal Chaudhary had a question, and we will ask him to ask that question again, and we will follow all the discussion with the country associations later.
Saurabh, Dr. Kazi, the session.
Absolutely. I was looking for him, but I think he just left. So while I was announcing,
he was just there.
So once he's come back, I will announce his name. I was just about to say that because he was the senior most person here. So but he just left right now. I'll ask him to join again.
He's the vice president. He's the vice president.
So Dr. Jamal Chaudhary, till the time he joins back, can you ask the question what you were asking, and we can have a discussion? We have Dr. Vidai Pillai also with us.
Actually, this sort of report actually we have seen in the papers long time back. Actually, we are not actually just relying on it, but this is actually a concern that actually in Lancet, research Lancet has come up, and in I don't know about the year, but in Bangladesh actually Lancet is much valued actually. This magazine is very much valued. And there the report has come that in India's death toll is 8 times higher, which was reported actually, and even the world's also the same. It is 3 times higher than the reported. So that is also a concern. And actually, this is in UK, up to 28 days of the hospitalization or the positiveness is counted as COVID. Even if it is negative, and if this death is there within the 28 days period, it is considered as COVID death. In UK only, I don't know what about the other countries. I'm not talking about I'm not read the article actually this whole article. Just only I have seen in some sort of ETH world, something like that is I have published from India. They were showing it actually, the Lancet's, this article, main feature. That is the thing.
Sure. So, Dr. Kazi, I would like you to chair this session today. So I would like you to chair this session today. Okay. And the question from Dr. Chaudhary is that a lot of cases are underreported, and I would like Dr. Pillai to answer this if the answer is available. A lot of cases in India are underreported. So there are like 10 times more cases which has been published in one of the well-known media house, paper print house. And is there any background behind it? So a lot of what my answer was, like a lot of cases which have been reported already have home orbit disease. So it's very difficult for them to either prove whether it is a COVID or a home orbit, or because of the age issue. So Dr. Pillai, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, this news in Lancet, as soon as it was available, the health ministry has contradicted it and said that this is not correct. And the government goes by some parameters in deciding it. As you rightly said, The comorbidities, age are two factors which definitely increase the death. And here in India, since the relatives of those who die are given monetary benefit, quite a lot of the persons do themselves report that the death has been due to COVID, and they should be paid the compensation. So even taking into consideration that sort of a proactive approach of the public, the death rate definitely is around 5 lakhs, and the total number of cases has been about 4 crores. So the Lancet reporting, with due apology, I will say that many a time definitely has been little lopsided or biased. We have seen in many issues, particularly public health issues, scientific articles nobody disputes, but public health issues, there always have been a bias, and this definitely is not correct as per the health ministry.
Okay,
Dr. Pillai, one thing.
Jamal, can I say something? I think we need to take into consideration of a very important saying that death from COVID and death with COVID. We need to differentiate that.
Yeah, right.
But excellent, but don't you think that if somebody got admitted with comorbidities, okay, in the hospital, and he contracted COVID from the hospital, I just take it into account, and that COVID accelerated his death, can have a factor if the COVID just augmented this, actually, the condition and the deteriorated condition because of the COVID. So that has to be considered as a COVID death, even if it is contracted later.
Yeah, you are right.
It's very important to decide what is COVID death and what is non-COVID death. Yes, go ahead.
Saurabh, shall I add?
Dr. Pillai, just, and then after that, Dr. Jamkar.
Government goes by definite criteria deciding it, and it is a complex issue. We ourselves see that in our clinical practice, antigen negative, and then after some time, there are at least few cases become antigen positive, and these variations are there. But with each death, antigen test is done, particularly those who had COVID at some time or other. After death, to decide on the way the body has to be disposed, the antigen test is a must in our country, and that is a good parameter. Then, of course, even if the antigen becomes negative, the post-COVID issues are there with these patients, and that again, only if it is active case, it is considered directly related to COVID. But post-COVID scenario is a little different, where the criteria on individual case is decided and decided. And generally, the public do want to categorize them as COVID death because of the financial benefit the government has offered.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Jamkar. You want to say something?
Yeah, actually, I just scanned that article while Dr. Pillai was talking. It's a very brief article of 4 paragraphs, and there is no substantiation, there is no validation, there is no data, except it concludes directly that India has 8 times more deaths. So I think we have to take this whole report with a pinch of salt. As agreed, with a new wave or Delta wave, people are not doing RT-PCR, and with the symptoms, they are just going to the pharmacist and get those kits. And once they are positive or negative, it's not reported. So as a net result, it is likely that the number of positive cases might be very high. But then all these positive cases, once they become sick, and once they become, say, require hospitalization, it has to go to a hospital where I suppose RT-PCR is done, And then we have appropriate mechanism of public health reporting everywhere. Because RT-PCR is not done unless you have an Aadhaar card. So I think there's nothing you can deceive. So I think I don't agree that there is any increased number of deaths. Second important thing is lot many patients are now with post-COVID. They might have first wave, they might have second wave, they might have some pulmonary complications, they might have something more, which is at present they are COVID negative. Therefore, theoretically, they are COVID deaths, but they are post-COVID deaths. I think such deaths may not be included, but I don't suppose they are far more. And maybe we could request through this channel, Government of India, that we should have even data of post-COVID deaths. Because one of my teacher who had a COVID 2 months before, he was all right, and he suddenly developed hemoptysis, and in 2 episodes he died. And I think when he was hospitalized, he was not COVID negative. So as a net result, it is a post-COVID death because it was a pulmonary fibrosis and all pulmonary complications. But I think obviously it is not reported as COVID death. So I think this report we have to take in pinch of salt. In addition, as everybody agrees, Lancet is anti-India. They don't just, they envy our growth. Maybe, I don't know whether this panel is right for talking that way. But I think it's just controlled by Western pharma industry. And maybe we have to take all those reports because they give, I am requesting everybody to see that report. There's nothing. You can't just conclude with the 3 paragraphs that deaths are high, except it's a personal opinion of some, maybe some physician, and it's directly highlighted in Lancet.
But what don't you think that the government itself should bring this Lancet into account, and they should answer to the government? Because it's just if you're saying that it is deliberately intentional, then the government should go for the proper action, because it's really worrying. It's worrying in the sense
they will never publish.
Huh?
They will never publish.
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about this. This is actually the government. Actually, they're just disputing the governments here. Okay, reporting.
No, and all our health records of COVID are available on website, which is transparent, which is open.
Oh, okay. Now, just regarding our country and others. Actually, the people they do not believe everything. Okay, and the government try to just show the lesser numbers. It is for their own sake. Definitely, because if more deaths, then the government will lose the popularity. That is the question. Why the question is coming? This is the thing actually that people are coming.
Government has already lost popularity on COVID front. They are getting popularity for maybe vaccination.
No, but he has won the elections. How happened is he won the election.
So this time elections were won because they were offering better opportunities for jobs and living conditions.
So we thought that Trump has failed actually because of COVID. Okay, but in India it's doing better. Okay, thank you.
Sharoop, if I just can add something. I think what is important is also to look at access deaths during your periods, during your waves, and then the in-between periods. What is the access death? I think we can safely say that across the world, even in Bangladesh, that not all deaths are reported. I'm quite sure that it's not, and I don't always think it's the governments that doesn't want to acknowledge it. It is just the way it is, because if we really want to say or contribute each and every death to COVID, you actually need to do a post-mortem and confirm it with that. But all the drama that goes with it is not making it worth it. And therefore, you will get this. So I think across the world, the death rate is much higher. And we need to accept it. And we need to maybe see going forward what would be the best, how to mitigate this, what would be the best plans to put in action. But therefore, you need to accept that access death would actually give you a better indication of how many people died. But again, difficult. This is one of the problems that I've stated in South Africa right from the beginning. For me, the most important thing is if you report someone is lying in ICU and it's a COVID patient, is that patient lying in ICU because of COVID, or is COVID coincidental? And that for me is also a very important question. But, you know, we don't get that answers on that questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Asika. So let's move forward with the update. Dr. Jamal Chaudhary, would you like to give an update for your country, Bangladesh?
Yeah, thank you so much, Philip. In Bangladesh, situation is much controlled here. The number of cases were only just about 200, and the number of deaths was 5 yesterday. So the total number of vaccination is 210 million, and actually this first dose was given near about 12 and 12.5 like that, and sorry, 120 million, and second dose that was given to 80 million. So the vaccination is progressing well, we must say, in Bangladesh, and the situation is much controlled. Everything is open, and including the schools. Only the primary schools are not open yet. I think soon they will open the primary schools. So situation is quite normal here. Thank you.
Okay, can I have an update from Dr. Martanda Pilla?
Thank you. Very good morning. The situation in India is definitely very, very positive, in the sense that the number has come down to 4,194. From what it was almost 1.7 lakhs per day, it has come down to 4,194. In many states, at least for 3 or 4 days, there are no cases reported, like Pondicherry, Assam, and many other states. So numbers are in 2 digits in certain states. So definitely it is flattening, and the third wave is more or less in a state where it is no longer a concern. That's what we have reached. The positivity rate has come down to 0.52%. The health ministry has declared that if it is more than 1%, of course, you have to be much more vigilant. But now it is, even the positivity rate is coming down, and presently it is 0.52%. Recovery rate has been about 98.7%, which is definitely a good percentage. The active case load, when you consider the total number, is hardly 0.1% now. So all the parameters are definitely coming down. And on the vaccine front, more than 1.78 crores of vaccine has been distributed. And the eligible population, definitely almost all has been receiving the first dose, and of course even the second dose. The children 14 to 18 are also being vaccinated, and we have definitely a proposal to extend it from 5 to 15 years, and even that process is happening. Then, of course, the IIT Kanpur, which normally predicts the mathematical equations and statistics of IIT Kanpur, is predicting that there could be a fourth wave by July, August. But even that derivation has been challenged by even IIT Kanpur, another group itself. So that is where we stand regarding the next wave. But now life has returned more or less to normalcy. The trains, full occupancy is allowed. even the linen, which has been stopped, Kashmiri towel and sheet and blanket and all, they are started redistributing to the travelers. The air travel restrictions have come down. Only thing is you should have a vaccination certificate, but no RT-PCR is done for air travel. Schools have opened to full strength, but then COVID protocols are being followed, and time and again it is being emphasized that in spite of sort of getting it controlled, the COVID protocol like wearing masks, hand sanitation, and physical distancing has to continue. Markets and all are open. Business is very buoyant and more or less trying to come back. Tourism, definitely at tourist centers, the crowd is much more than what it used to be, because people after a long period of sitting at home want to relax, and tourist centers have become new attractions, and new methodology of attracting people for tourist spots are also being done. Caravans and other new things are being introduced, and that's where we stand, unless, of course, as has been predicted by a small group, of a fourth wave. If that doesn't happen, or if a new variant doesn't surface, India can say that we have controlled COVID. And as of now, if you look at the global case reporting, India cases forms only 0.7% of the global cases. And that itself is a great relief. Looking at our population, the number definitely is a matter of relief. So that is where we stand. Thank you.
Dr. Pillai, just you were mentioning about this border, okay, border. But what about the airlines protocol? They are not just the airline. They are asking that you have to go for the COVID test. They are compelling the passengers for COVID test. Even though the country is allowing those who are fully vaccinated, they are allowed without test. In our country also the same thing. But what about the airline? The airline is imposing that no, you have to go for the test before you fly.
To follow the instructions
the
from
airline depends upon which airline it is. But when you come back home, whether you're a foreigner or an Indian, the quarantine is no longer necessary. Previously, 7 days of very strict quarantine and 1 week of self-isolation. Now, you can straight away, after landing in India, you can straight away go back to your work. But at the entry point, whatever rules are existing in those countries, that is to be followed. But even there, many of the countries don't insist on a RT-PCR test, but COVID vaccination certificate alone.
No, but I was telling about the airline.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
air travel.
That is what I'm telling you, about the airlines. Yeah, they are not exempting.
Within the country, there is no restriction. Airlines, air travel, domestic air travel, only vaccination certificate is required. No RT-PCR to be done, and you can straight away go back to your business or whatever you have come to that place.
So one more question. I think Dr. Elvin has also joined, so we will continue with it. So considering what's going on in China, and we, like a lot of countries, have trade travels happening between China and the world, and considering a lot of cases, like we are not doing RT-PCR testing now, we are not doing any follow-ups on those things, or just the regular vaccination. Do you think these cases can again move out of China and going forward can lead to a problem in other countries? I know it is a very hypothetical question, but a lot of answers needs to be coming from this forum.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I cannot hear your question just now.
Okay, so Dr. Elvin, before my question, can you give an update for Hong Kong, and do you have any information coming out of China, like the latest virus which has been detected there and the lockdown is happening? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any inside information. So I also heard from the news that there are now more than thousand cases a day yesterday, and I think China has such a long border. So if uh, especially after the Winter Olympics and now the Paralympics, there must be, of course, mutants. So I think it's difficult to be immune to all these imported cases. So of course, 1,000 is not really that alarming, perhaps. But then just one case that have slipped into the country could be a super spreader and could multiply to an explosive level. So that's why China has always been very stringent in the border control as well as the lockdown measures. But of course, whether they could lock down depends on the size of the city and for the manpower. About 2 or 3 cities that had complete lockdown, like Xi'an, and also in the first, I think mostly they also just do a district or partial lockdown, not a whole city. The 5 million people, I think it's really difficult to have a complete city lockdown. But at least the first step in Shanghai is that they had now stopped the schools, closed schools already. Whether they would have further measures for lockdown, I don't know. So anyway, for China, I think the difficulty is that uh, in contrast to most other countries in the world,
Is the connection of Dr. Chang low?
can you hear me?
Is there a network issue from your end? Like, can you hear everyone else? Can you hear him?
No.
You breaking up, Dr. Alvin?
Yeah, I think he has network problem.
Yeah, I think you keep getting frozen. Okay, so I think he lost his connection. Dr. Alvin, are you there?
He's there, but he has to go out again.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, Dr. Alvin comes back. Can we have an update from South Africa?
Can I just ask, while we're waiting, can I just ask what variant is currently in China? Do we know? Is it Omicron or is it something else? So that would be one of my questions. While we're waiting for Dr. Hussein and Dr. Muzukwa, in South Africa, the problem is our infectivity rate has not been less than 5% up until now. So we, one way or another in South Africa, the expectations are that we are really out of danger and everything is fine, but it's not. 5% infectivity rate, if you've never been down since Omicron started, down on 5%, we're still not out of the woods. And people are pushing for, not being able to wear masks anymore. which I think it's also not right. You need to wear your masks, especially in indoors, as well as in hospital setups, or any other place indoors where you work with people. And then the next thing is, I think, ventilation, a huge problem. However, outdoors, we can start to drop the masks. The one thing that South Africa need to stop is the useless temperature taking of people going into centers or into buildings. That add no value. Sanitation still very important, I think, especially in your shopping centers or where a lot of people comes together. That's important. We're also waiting for our fifth wave. We will see. The expectations is May, June. If it's going to happen, then it still follows the same pattern. If it's not going to happen, then the question is when, and will we then become endemic? This is, and I think the next 6 months, especially in South Africa, is very important to give us an indication going forward what is going to happen. South Africa also struggling very much with vaccines. We're still under 45% of fully vaccinated people, and then the uptake of boosters are not that great either. So we'll have to see what happens going forward. And again, I want to, what was said earlier, people doesn't go to the doctors anymore, doesn't go even for testing because it costs them money. So they don't even go for testing if they are sick. So I think the incidence rate of people at Omicron is quite high, much higher. And then again, access death is something to watch out for. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarab. Thank you, Angelique, for information. South Africa is doing well at the moment. The new cases within last 1 week, it's around 700 to 2,000. Yes, last 24 hours, 1,800. Death rate is also gone down. It's 0 to 50 over the whole week. Almost now we're reaching 100,000 death total till the COVID-19 started. And the total admission last 24 hours was 2,500. Out of that, 90 was ventilated, 250 was in ICU. Our recovery rate is 96%. Positivity, as Angelique said, less than 5. And vaccine is almost 31 million done. Beaches are open. Holiday makers are coming. And people want to get away from the mask, social distance, 1.5, they want less than 1. So those are the challenge coming up. Schools are open, holiday makers are pouring in Cape Town and Durban. Numbers are increasing, but a PCR test is still needed on arrival or you going out from the country. That's from South Africa. Thank you.
What about Dr. Akhtar? What
Yes.
how you interpret? I've seen for many days it's almost flattening actually. This South Africa cases. So how
Yes.
you interpret it? Why it is not decreasing actually? This is still 5%. But in contrast, in Bangladesh, it is less than 2% now. Suppose like that, because why it is not coming down actually?
Yeah, you're right. Some provinces flats. It's just flat. It's less than 1%. Some provinces are still high, especially Western Cape and Gauteng province, where the higher concentration. So it's like a pocket type of incidence. That's the number increase in the certain area where there's a highly density population. People are not following masks, social distance, sanitization, and don't even go for the test. And that's the problem.
Okay, can we have an update from Dr. Muzukwa, you want to add something?
Thank you so much. I think Dr. Hussein has covered most of the things, and I think what we are looking at now as the country, as South Africa, we're looking at, obviously easing restrictions because the numbers are going down. But I do think that our genomic surveillances need to be, to not to let their guards down, because we do know that not everyone is vaccinated in the country. There's a risk of development of variants. I do think that those are the issues that need to be taken seriously by our government. Is also there's this issue of mandatory vaccination that has not been finalized by our government in terms of making sure that we protect, all these everyone in the country, and making sure that those who come in the country as well are vaccinated, as we know that if you go out of the country, some countries, they are making sure that if you come to their country, you are vaccinated. But the last thing from my side is the issue of having all the having some of the restriction taken away. For example, the issue of sanitizations and stuff like that. I'm worried a little bit with the fact that not all areas in the country have got access to water. So if you ease restrictions and say do away with sanitization, or what do you say about areas where there's no water supply, access to clean water or running water? So I think COVID in our country has exposed all those inequalities, and also we've seen government that they can supply water when it is needed. We saw during the COVID times, or when we had peak in our waves, we've seen government running around making sure that there's water. And I don't understand why we can't sustain that, making sure that we prevent future occurrences where if there is no enough water, people they tend to have infection, not only for viruses, but also for intestinal infections and stuff. So I think those are some of the things that we're still grappling with, and also challenging government, using science to say, but you are not doing enough in terms of water supply. You are not doing enough in terms of providing more healthcare workers. So there are many challenges, many lessons that we have learned from COVID that we think has to be rectified at this point in time. I think I would stop it from there for now.
So we have Dr. Irwin back. Dr. Irwin, are you there? He looks pretty stable again, I think. It's frozen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, hello. Hello, well, in China, because I don't have any inside information. I also get the information like you do from the news. So about Hong Kong, we are now hopefully at past the peak of the pandemic of the Omicron. Of course, we don't know the genome of the strains that been sweeping Hong Kong for the past 2 months. But however,
again, I think we lost connection.
Yep. Okay, Alvin, are you there? I think we lost him again. Connection is bad in Hong Kong right now.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's move with Pakistan.
Okay. Thank you, Sarab. I have these stats available from Pakistan. Life has eased up very nicely. And the stats are, we have partially vaccinated about 128 million, and fully vaccinated, we have 101 million. And in the last 24 hours, we had 501,000 vaccinations. And we also have boosters for about 4.8 million who got their booster doses. And the confirmed cases total is 1.5 million. And in the last 24 hours, we had 571 cases. And the critical care cases admitted are 641. And in the last 24 hours, no case was admitted for the critical care. The total deaths throughout this COVID pandemic is 30,000 in Pakistan. And in the last 24 hours, we had only 6 deaths. And the recovery rate is very good. We have 1.4 million recovered cases. And in the last 24 hours, we have 525. Total tests we have done is 26 million, and daily we are doing about 35 to 36,000 PCR tests. The positivity rate is 1.5%. Life is quite normal in Pakistan. The traveling restrictions for domestic travelers, none. While the inbound travelers, they don't need to have the PCR testing. All the vaccinated are being accepted, and rapid test is done on the arrival, and those found to be positive need to quarantine at home. And Jamal was asking that a lot of countries have waived off the mandatory PCR testing, but some of the airlines definitely are keeping the PCR test still on 72 hours before their departure. And then, of course, at the airport, they do the rapid testing as well. So life is quite, seems to be normal. Schools are open, markets are open, the indoor dining is allowed, and we are having the Pakistan Australia test starting today, that test match, and lots of crowd is there. But of course, the wearing of mask is mandatory, and keeping distance is, of course, educated. So life seems to be quite normal, and this is what the new normal is. We have to live with. Thank you, Suraj.
Thank you. I wonder how many masks will still be on if there is a wicket which has been taken off from the ground.
That's right.
Dr. Kazi, what is the booster given there? What is the type of vaccine?
Pfizer. We are giving the Pfizer vaccine. It's being provided free of cost to the public by the government. And I mean, it's quite a lot of people are getting the boosters. In fact, I already had my 4th dose of Pfizer. We initially
but
of Sinovac, and then the 2 doses of Pfizer as well.
But Israel's study was telling there's no benefit in 4th dose.
That's right, but the government, I don't know whether if they have plenty of vaccine available to them, they want to utilize it before it expires. So they are educating for the 4th dose as well. You are absolutely right. 3rd dose is enough, but since the government is forcing and they are offering us, so we had to go. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Kaisar is there. I think
Dr. Kaiser is there. Dr. Salma was there. I think she left.
also there.
Dr. Kaiser is there.
Yeah, Saurabh, thank you very much. I think Dr. Qazi has already explained everything. The situation is very much controlled in Pakistan. Everything is on. The life is absolutely in a normal swing. Every educational institutions, the restaurant, all types of gatherings are going on, and the only fear is that nobody is wearing masks in anywhere in the gathering or anywhere. Even I don't know in Bangladesh or in India, even in hospital doctors are not wearing the mask properly. So I don't know. The Saurabh, you have asked about the future. So we are also worried that is there any coming waves for next 1 or month later. So till now, it's thanks God, it's better now, and it's going better and better. So in Pakistan, as the Dr. Qazi is said, explain and inform, everything is normal. Thanks God. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think in India, doctors are wearing masks. I don't think we have that issue, at least in hospitals. But yeah, on the streets, you might see a lot of people who are not wearing masks. And but I think this is more of not with the policy. This is more of your own security. And if people are stupid, not wearing masks, I think for you, it's more important. If you're wearing mask, you're still secure.
Yes, absolutely not. What about the shaking hands and hugging each other? Do you have there in India? And what about Jamal in Bangladesh and other part of the country? Are you shaking hands or hugging?
Listen. I personally do it because I don't have the habit to touch my mouth and you say face with the hand. I have just got rid of from the very beginning, so that's why you can. But whoever actually has having the habit that he touches on and off around this area, his face with the nose, so he should not. That's why actually the people are doing it now, and they are a little bit relaxed. But only thing is that in the wedding ceremony or some of the social gatherings, actually, yes, people are still wearing masks, but a lot of people are not doing that.
Yeah. The number is less. Wearing masks number is less, I think.
Yeah,
This is in every country, I would say. There are like pros and there are people who are in favor of wearing masks, people who are not in favor of wearing masks. So in India, there is one thing which has come out is that if you're in the car, you don't need to wear a mask. So that has come, which was not earlier before. And also shaking hands in India is like more of habitual. So a lot of times I've seen people shaking hands and then they say, oh my God, sorry, we were not supposed to do it. It's like out of the spontaneous, it comes and you shake hands out of the excitement, you're meeting somebody and then suddenly you realize, no, it was supposed not to be. So a lot of people in India are definitely trying to take precautions, but I think the majority is where, you just loosen up and you hug each other or you shake hands each other. So again, I think it is more now where government is not in the picture. You have to be on your own toes to make sure that you want to hug somebody. If let's say if somebody is trying to shake hand and if I just do like this, I think the message is very clear. I don't want to shake hand. And I just, from distance or in between. In fact, we were shaking hands with the bow with this thing. So, it's very unlikely that you will get sick if you are taking your own precautions. Nobody will force you to hug or shake hands or do anything if you don't want to do it. So I think and if somebody is not wearing a mask, keep your distance and say, okay, I don't want to talk to you unless you wear a mask.
So you are absolutely right, Sora. But sometimes it's very difficult to say these type of words. People are very much sensitive. Doctor, why you are saying that? I'm not COVID patient. But my my point is, as we, as a Pakistan Medical Association, we are regularly very much vocal to the public as well as the government to just pass our message to wear masks, don't shake hand, don't hug each other. We are regularly doing this. So this is very important to just inform people that the COVID is not finished. COVID is here and it can be reoccur. It can increase the number of cases. So please be careful, wear masks, don't hug each other and don't shake each. This is very important. I think the other national associations should do in their countries, must be very vocal and must be very, just provide awareness and everything regarding the coronavirus.
That's a good advice.
So Dr. Sajad, there's one thing which Dr. KK used to say. Obviously, I think for you, doctor and patient relationship, you can literally say that the patient that, okay, I don't want to see you unless you wear a mask because I'm not here for you only, I'm here for more patients. I have a duty, I have a social duty. I cannot take a risk of my own getting sick and then not treat other patients. But there are a lot of cases where you tend to meet somebody very senior and you cannot just say no to him, or you cannot just try. So in that scenario, what Dr. KK used to say is like, rather than standing like this, stand like this, don't face each other. And then you can give a message to them with a very polite way that, okay, I don't want to talk to you face to face, but I'm still honoring because you don't want to wear mask and I still want to talk to you, but we cannot face each other. And I am wearing a mask. So that message goes very politely and very clear that if you wear a mask, we would be more comfortable talking. But if you're not wearing a mask, at least we can have a discussion, not face to face, but not facing each other. So I think with this, if you say, so he also used to say in the airlines, it is very difficult to catch virus. And that has happened. Like, we have not seen any major airlines getting infected with the entire COVID as a super spreader because you don't face each other, you sit behind. So even if there is, and if you're wearing a mask, so even if you cough, it goes on the seat and it doesn't go across the thing. And there's a ventilation, there's an air filter also there. So if you don't face each other while you're talking, I think that it gives enough room for you not to be on it. But again, if it's a patient, I think you can probably just give a message that either you sit far or you we used to also put a shelter, a filter in between with a I think transparent glass thing.
Yeah. The doctors and clinics, like I'm an ophthalmologist, I use a slit lamp. And we have a transparent plastic shield in between patient and the doctor. So that's right. You're absolutely right. Some of the other doctors also have, like cardiologists. They're talking. They talk through a transparent shield. So that is there. Okay. Can we move on?
For Dr. Kazi's information. I think Dr. Kazi is an ophthalmologist.
Yeah.
You're ophthalmologist? Okay. I am also an ophthalmologist. But
Great.
when I went to check my eyesight, actually, I'm just wearing glasses. So my friend was saying it, and when I requested him, because I'm over 60, so please, and I am diabetic also, so please look into my retina. He just told me that sorry, just excuse me now. Later we'll see. This because he has contracted COVID actually because of this patient and this thing, and an ophthalmologist has to go actually very close to the patient when you see by ophthalmoscope, direct ophthalmoscope, not using the indirect one. So yes, that was my experience. Just 2 months back, I think.
Yes, I mean, we don't use direct ophthalmoscopy. We do indirect ophthalmoscopy, and that too with the video attachment so that you can see that on the bigger screen. Plus, the OCT is a very fine tool, gives you lots of information. And using slit lamp with a 90D lens, you can see the retina through the shade. So
that is also very close actually.
Being provided ophthalmologists.
So a lot of ophthalmologists contracted COVID actually. ENTs they also died.
Dr. Jamal.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a lighter mood, I think you better just consult Dr. Kazi. He will examine you, and I will tell him don't charge from Dr. Jamal.
There's enough money for giving a party here, I would say, after that.
Right.
So anyone else has to speak anything on it before we end the session? And anyone wants to give any update or any anything, any message? Somebody? Otherwise, we can have an early shutdown of the session.
But the thing is that worry this BA2 actually, whether there is any possibility of coming that variant to our continent or something like that. Those were already in a better condition now. But it's predominant strain in Australia and it's included there. So what about the Australian here? These passengers coming to our countries. So will it be? Is there anybody here who can say that whether we can be we can contract this BA2 and which spreads more than the BA1?
So I don't know if anybody would have answers for this. Dr. Angelica raised hands. So go ahead, Dr. Angelica.
I just want to say, I think I put it on the chat yesterday as well. So B2, I've discussed this with Prof. Karim before. And the B2, the difference between the B2 and the Omicron, the mother, if I can put it like that, is it lies in the clinical picture, the presentation of the patient. And that's more about tachycardia. The pulse rate is around about 100, 120, and then the fever. But the clinical outcomes is exactly the same. So although there's a difference in the clinical symptoms, the outcome is the same than with the normal Omicron. So there's and the treatment stays the same. So there's not actually any reason to panic about it. It's the same. You just need to treat it. And then again, we keep on saying that cortisone is your best available treatment, especially early in the, if the patient presents with Omicron, whether it's B2 or the normal Omicron, it doesn't matter. Thanks.
So yeah, I think your question also was, which variant was it? It's Omicron in China.
But Dr. Angelic, my question was different actually. We had a wave of BA1 here, okay, in these countries. I think in South Africa also predominant variant was BA1. So, but in UK, Denmark, and Australia, recently Australia is showing that dominant strain is BA2, and they are just cautioning their people. Just you must be more cautious, because it is more spreading than the BA1, which is the original one, the Omicron. And moreover, I think symptoms are more also, it's more severe, but it's actually it's evading this immunity also, but which is given by the vaccines. So what about this BA2? Whether it can if there is a possibility to come up here, suppose in our country, so we have to protect ourselves. Rather, Dr. Sajjad was telling that we have to keep all these things, protocols in place, and we should be strict about these things. And regarding the entry into the country, whether from the Australia or from those other countries, should we add more precautions for those things? That is the thing. That is the matter of concern now.
I hear you, but it's difficult to you can't test everyone to see if it's a B2 or a B1, but you need to go on the clinical symptoms. And again, if you had B1, it seems that you won't get B2. So, whether it's B2 that is currently dominating in your country, the outcomes are still Omicron outcomes. I don't think we should just, we should take note of this, understand that there might be different clinical presentation of the patient when you examine the patient, but the outcomes is still Omicron outcomes. Otherwise, people are starting to get panicking and would overflow again the healthcare centers. I just think again, just tell the symptoms and don't get people to start to panic. Thanks.
Right. Okay, so shall we end this meeting today? Great. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Sorry, you want to say something?
No, sir. I say yes. I just second you. Okay.
So thank you, everyone, for joining in for this meeting. This was 101 session. See you again next week. Same time, same day, same link.
Thank you.